Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Police tells Finance Minister to restart the compensation review process. Catherine taxi operators strike for a second day. Sports, Elaine Thompson-Hira withdraws from this weekend's Diamond League meet. I'm Krista Campbell and here are the details. Start over. The demand from Police Federation members to the Finance Minister regarding the public sector compensation review exercise. With mounting disquiet in the public sector, Dr. Nigel Clark fielded questions at day 2 of the Federation's 79th annual conference at the Ocean Coral Spring Hotel in Trelawney yesterday. More in this report.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark was not on the program to address the Police Federation conference. However,
the police are very dear to my heart. This is why I'm here. That is why I'm here. In the midst of all of the discontent and anger, I am here.
The discontent stems from the ongoing public sector compensation review exercise, and so police officers grilled him with their concerns.
Okay. What are the allowances that will be either merged or removed based on the compensation review?
We don't need to beat around the mulberry bush. The fact is that the document that you shared with us has some significant flaws identified and has been withdrawn, and we are starting the process over.
I hear you when you say it had to be done, and I agree with you. But the approach that is taken, the puss in a bag approach, we cannot negotiate in a vacuum, and it is critical that you make a commitment to this conference that you are literally going to have to start over, treat the police as different. Why? We do not do any job comparable in the public sector. The only thing that you could ingloriously compare it to is that of a security guard, and we are not glorified security guards.
Dr. Clark insists that the negotiation process is progressing as the Federation has responded to the proposal in a 16-page letter, which the ministry is addressing. He notes that a special job scale for the security sector is being finalized. As for allowances, Dr. Clark says it's an entirely new assessment exercise and approach to compensation.
Given all of these jobs in Jamaica, where should compensation be, relatively speaking? Okay, so it's a completely different, and this is what it should be. But then we cross-check to make sure that it's better off than it was before. Now, when you do it across 110,000 jobs, it's possible, not possible, it is the case that in the first iteration, there's some that are not better off. But what our assurance means is that where that is the case and where that is pointed out to us in a rational, data-driven way, we will fix it.
Minister Clark, however, did not specify a date for the next meeting. Herman Green, TVJ News.
Taxi operators in Spanish Town St. Catherine are calling out the Transport Authority and police for route restrictions in the old capital, which they say threaten business and order in the town. For a second day, they staged a protest. Midday on Wednesday, and hardly a taxi in sight during what's usually peak lunchtime traffic in Spanish Town St. Catherine. Instead of passengers, taxi operators picked up placards protesting the routes they're being told to travel in the old capital.
William Street, on the road license, and Young Street, and John's Road, and we have the bypass. And if we use the bypass and go down by the roundabout, and then see we a problem, if we should pick up a passenger from Spanish Town and the passenger going depot, right? And we go depot for drop off the passenger. Or even if we come in from Kitsu Town and go depot for drop off a passenger, a police are going to stop we say we can't hear to road. Him are going to give you $20,000 ticket. I'm talking from experience, you know. $20,000 ticket plus he might get record seize the vehicle.
Amos Squire says it's another $35,000 for the vehicle to be released, and added to high gas prices, other taxes and fees, taxi operators have had enough.
9,000 I guess now we carry to the gas and enough food. 9,000. I go sit down half hour on William Street in the traffic. People are late for their work. They just sit down in the traffic. Burn up back one long man. burn out the whole of your gas and can't buy back the gas and to pay your boss, you have picnic, have rent, have everything you pay just like them, you know.
Now, the taxi operators returned to work by late Wednesday afternoon, but have vowed to continue their protest action if their issues are not addressed. They say the poor state of the roads they're asked to drive on in Spanish Town would cause traffic congestion and slow down business.
We can't drive Wellington Street, go in a Spanish Town. We have to go William Street and go Young Street. There's no way Young Street, if anybody in a transport sector know Young Street cannot contain so much vehicle. We are come from Pine Hill, Brownsall, Kissitown, John's Road, Fairview, Hebony, Linstead, Warswood, Gardpen, so many streets in the Spanish Town where you can detour to cut out the traffic, to relieve the traffic. We have Perry, we have Depot, we can't use them the road. And them the road bring in revenue to the taxi driver them. So if we can't go them and say, oh, what carry them the people?
When contacted, General Manager for Operations at the Transport Authority, Ronald Anderson, said the protest was in response to operations in Spanish Town today, in which 7 taxis were seized for operating contrary to their road licenses. He said neither taxi operators nor their associations have raised any issues with the route during what he said was a long, robust public education campaign and subsequent monthly meetings on the Road Traffic Act. However, he says the Transport Authority is open to further dialogue to address the taxi operators' concerns. At least one expert has raised concern about certain health challenges that children may face due to a lack of physical play. Our reporter Sandy Williams looks at the importance of children's physical activity in this special Child's Month report.
Pediatrician Dr. Anona Griffith says she has seen an increase in obesity in children since the COVID-19 pandemic. She believes it's because they have been less active.
Over the years, because of the increase in the amount of sugary drinks that is being taken in by many of our children, we find that they're less active, they're putting on more weight, so they have larger body mass indices, and this has implications not just for long-term, as in the non-communicable diseases that we are dealing with now, that's putting a burden on our healthcare system, but it also will impact them as far as the development of diabetes and metabolic syndrome.
As for her, it could also affect their ability to learn. She underscores the importance of physical activity for children.
Children who are engaged in running, you'll find that they learn endurance. That helps to build, they also learn speed. So you find that the different types of muscles that they utilize will be developed, and that will help to basically ensure a healthier physical being.
And the students agree.
It's hard for me to do like certain indoor activity. For example, like if my mother said to me, say, all right, we move the table, all of a sudden I feel like my back hurt, my knee hurt, and so forth.
It helps you both physically and mentally. Physically, keep you in shape, and mentally, like if you're feeling down and you're active, it takes your mind off your problem and help you to feel more free to interact with others.
The government has introduced the Jamaica Moves in Schools program as an effort to help students maintain an active lifestyle.
We want to actually again, to tell our students they've been locked away for so long, where we don't have the PE like we used to back in the day. And I think it's important for our children to have at least an hour, 60 minutes of play while they're at school. And so what we're trying to do is to have those things in school where you do 15-minute breaks, where we're allowing our children to do something physical.
And nutrition is as equally important.
On May 3, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, in his sectoral debate presentation in Parliament, disclosed that the government will be implementing a school nutrition policy. Now, the policy aims at helping children keep healthier by encouraging them to increase consumption of vegetables and drinking more water.
The Ministry of Health says the government will work to guide and, in some cases, mandate school cafeterias to prepare healthier options for students. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Thanks, Sandy. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. We have more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The United Kingdom this morning declared its support for Jamaica's Kamina Johnson-Smith as Commonwealth Secretary-General. In a tweet, UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Mrs. Johnson-Smith has the vast experience and support to unite the Commonwealth of Nations and seize the opportunities ahead. There have been mixed views on Mrs. Johnson-Smith's candidature, as some members of the Commonwealth are bent on having Baroness Patricia Scotland remain in the post. A decision on the appointment of a Secretary-General is to be made during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which will take place from June 20 to 25 in Kigali, Rwanda. The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, is urging countries in the region to keep a close eye on the coronavirus. Speaking at Wednesday's media briefing, Director of PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says by now countries should learn from the past 2 years in treating with the virus. She says a part of the strategy going forward is to ensure that adequate testing is done.
Over the past 2 years, we have built incredibly networks for COVID testing and genomic surveillance. But in the past few months, we have seen testing levels drop in some countries. The highest testing levels were 1,000 persons, and that was reached around January 20th. In many countries in the Americas, but since then, testing rates have been steadily declining.
Dr. Etienne also said that where self-test is available, persons must report the results, whether positive or negative, to the authorities. This will help in monitoring the virus properly.
The testing infrastructure must be maintained and strengthened so that we can catch signals of new variants and the first signs of a surge early. Testing and surveillance are our eyes and ears for this pandemic and can help governments make informed decisions. Second, countries must maintain capacities of their networks of services in case infections surge even more.
And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
Bakery operator Honeybun's profit fell during the January to March quarter. Profit for the 3 months was 46% lower at $41.2 million. Last year, it was $76.8 million. However, the company's revenue increased by 34% to $708.7 million. The United Nations on Wednesday significantly lowered its forecast for global economic growth this year from 4% to 3.1%. The World Economic Situation and Prospects report said the war in Ukraine has triggered increasing global food and commodity prices and exacerbated inflationary pressures, upending the fragile recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. It also warned that this will hit developing nations particularly hard, exacerbating food insecurity and increasing poverty. With the Business Minute, I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And Sandy Williams has the latest developments in news outside of Jamaica.
In regional news, Trinidad and Tobago health authorities have urged people 60 years and over to get boosted for COVID-19, regardless of their health status. Speaking at the Ministry of Health COVID-19 media conference, Health Minister Terence Delasing said the 3 groups eligible for an additional Pfizer vaccine were those over 60, healthcare workers, and the immunocompromised. He told reporters that the booster shots, which would be administered from tomorrow, are in keeping with the new guidelines from the World Health Organization. On the international scene, the United States has confirmed its first case of monkeypox. According to health officials, a man in Massachusetts tested positive for monkeypox on Tuesday after traveling to Canada.
This was really unusual because the patient had no travel history, no exposure to animals that would be known to be reservoirs. However, the team, thinking about the patient and hearing just over the weekend about some of the cases in the United Kingdom, thought more broadly about the patient's diagnosis.
Contract tracing is underway to find the people the man may have been in contact with while infectious. However, authorities say the case poses no risk to the public. Monkeypox is a rare but dangerous infection. Symptoms may include a flu-like illness, lymph node swelling, and a rash on the face and body. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we take our second break here on the Midday News, but stay tuned. Renardo Brown is standing by with your Midday Sports Report. What do you have?
Welcome back. It's now time for your Midday Sports. We start with news from athletics. As two-time double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah has withdrawn from this Saturday's Diamond League meet in Birmingham. Thompson-Herah ranks 5th fastest in the 100 meters this year, where the 10.89 seconds was due to contest that event at the meet. A release sent today by her agent, Addy Sports Management, indicated that the 5-time Olympic gold medal winner decided not to travel after feeling some discomfort in training. In cricket at Sports Time, the Jamaica Scorpions reached 254 for 8 in response to the Leeward Islands Volcanoes' first innings score of 137 on day 2 of their third-round regional 4-day game at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. And that's the Windward Volcanoes. Resuming the day at 118 for 4, the Scorpions had gotten to lunch at 219 for 7. They lost the wicket of Aldane Thomas for 20 immediately following the break. Brandon King has so far scored 66. Josh Thomas and Preston Maxwell have both taken 3 wickets. And Wilma's boys ended St. Elizabeth Technical's stronghold on the T20 cricket title after a 4-run win in the final at Sabina Park on Wednesday. Chasing 88 for victory, Stets seemed well on their way at 43 for 1, but a spell of 4 for 11 from West Indies under-19 player Jordan Johnson saw them bowled out for 83. Matthew Aljo also chipped in, picking up the last 2 wickets. Earlier, Stets restricted Wilma's to just 87 for 7, with captain Justin Beckford getting an unbeaten 49. Gavasta Edmund was the pick of the bowlers for Stets, bagging 4 for 17, while Odell Samuels had 2 for 6.
I tell the guys that it's already on the board. You know, it's a low score, but this is a final. You know, and if anything is on the board, that's what matters. So we just have to go out there and bowl them out. Tell the team we have to bowl out Stets to win this game, and we did just that. And that's after my team, to the captain, to Jordan who bowled his heart out. You know, it was all-round team effort, but I'm very, very pleased with the boys' performance.
It was the first time Stets were losing the trophy since its inception in 2014. Now to football, the battle to stave off relegation takes centre stage today as Everton and Burnley, who are looking to avoid the drop, are both in action for the penultimate match day of the season.
Everton could confirm their place in next season's competition should they get all 3 points in their home game against Crystal Palace at Goodison Park at 1:45 p.m. Everton are currently 16th on 36 points, just 2 above the relegation zone. But getting to 49 points would guarantee their survival ahead of the final day this weekend. Despite what happens at Villa Park in the 2 p.m. kickoff, Burnley's fate will be decided on the final match day. But a win over Aston Villa today would mean that even a draw in their final game on Sunday could be enough to see them survive the drop, even if Leeds United win. Burnley currently occupy 18th position with 34 points, 1 behind Leeds United, who are just above the relegation zone. A win for Burnley would take them to 37 points, which means a draw against Newcastle on Sunday would see them remain in the league for next season, even if Leeds win at Brentford. In the other game today at 2 p.m., Chelsea could guarantee 3rd spot with only a point at home to Leicester City, who cannot finish higher than 8th this season. Sandy Williams for TVJ Sports.
And finally this afternoon, Waterhouse FC's push for a first Caribbean Champions Cup continues today as they play Haitian club Violette in their first semi-final, starting at 4 p.m. Waterhouse have never lifted the title despite coming close on 3 occasions, as they were runners-up in 2014, 2019, and then again in 2020. The day's second semi-final will see a domestic rivalry as Cibao FC and Atletico Vega Real battle out for the final spot. That game is set to kick off at 7 p.m. And that's it for your Midday Sports Report. Krista, it's back to you.
Thank you, Renardo. And that's how we wrap things up here on the Midday News today. I'm Krista Campbell. Remember to join us again at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.